Welcome to another PyPhysicsSandbox tutorial. This one's going to be on observer functions. Observer functions are a feature of the sandbox that allows you to run some code each time step of the simulation so that you can get some interactivity in there. So we're going to create an arm here that is going to be a narrow box with a mass of 100. And I'm going to set the color of it to yellow. If I can manage to spell yellow, I will. And let's see where that ends up at. Okay, so it's in that area of the screen. And we're going to put a pivot joint here in the center of it. Okay, that point should be right in the center. And I'm going to connect it up to the arm and run it. Okay, so that's the right placement. So this arm here will be able to rotate around the pivot joint. I'm going to go ahead and start doing some physics. Now, right now, if I run it even with physics enabled, nothing will happen because this arm is balanced on that pivot joint. Doesn't have any more weight on one side or the other. What I want to do is I want to add in a function. I'll call it observer function, but you can call it whatever you want. It has to take a parameter that is the list of keys that have been pressed in this time step. And I'm going to check to see if the B key has been pressed by saying if constants, sorry about that, k underscore b in keys, that means that the B key has been pressed this particular time step. And I'm going to create a ball at 125.50. And I'm going to set that color to green. Now, at some point I have to add that observer function. So I have to call the add underscore observer and then pass in my observer function. But without the parentheses, I'm not calling observer function, I'm just passing it in. So what that does is it tells the simulation, call this function once every time step. There are about 50 time steps a second, so this function will get called 50 times a second. On any of those particular time steps, if the B key has been pressed, a ball will get created. So let's run this and see what happens. So now I'm going to press the B key, the ball gets created, and the arm pivots around. I can continue creating as many of these things as I want. As much as I want to press the B key, one each time step will get created at maximum. I want to add in the ability to detect mouse clicks. So I'm going to take this point here and I am going to make that a global variable. I'm going to start that variable out being the point that I originally wanted it to be, but then in my observer function I'm going to call the mouse clicked function. That returns true if the mouse has been clicked in this particular time step, and if it has been, then I'm going to set ball point equal to my mouse point. That way the new ball will appear wherever I have last clicked my mouse. So let me go ahead and run this. So if I hit B without clicking the mouse, it appears in the same spot. If I click my mouse somewhere and then hit B, it appears in that spot. So I can make this ball appear wherever I want to just by clicking the mouse. So this is an example of some of the sort of interactivity that you can get with the observer functions. The two primary things that you can do in there, as far as user input are concerned, is determine if a particular key has been pressed or if the mouse has been clicked. You also have access to all of your shapes in there. So if you want to determine if a particular shape has gone above a certain point or below a certain point, you can do that sort of thing there too. So observer functions can be used to create some fairly interesting effects.